Hey there, and welcome to Ruck, Buttercup, the podcast that's all about real talk for military spouses and families. I'm Sabrina, and we're so glad you're here.
And I'm Ashley, and together we dive into the ups, the downs, and everything in between that comes with military life. From deployment tips to marriage conversations to PCS chaos, finding your identity and owning it, nothing is off limits.
And I'm Laura. Whether you're folding uniforms, packing boxes, managing the home front, solo, or just trying to make it through another long week, you're in the right place. Here on Ruck Up Buttercup, we share real stories, honest conversation, and practical support for military families.
We talk about the hard stuff, the hopeful stuff, and everything in between. Because military life is anything but one size fits all.
This is a space to feel seen, supported, and reminded that you're never alone in this journey.
So lace up those boots, lift your chin, and let's ruck up Buttercup. Military life doesn't define us. We rise in.
You can also hear us on Read Across America Radio on Women in Media Wednesdays at 11 p.m. See you there.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ruck Up Buttercup podcast. A little update for everyone before we dive into our episode today. Sabrina is taking a break from the podcast in Deployed Love to focus on her family and her well-being. So we're really excited that she's chosen to set that boundary, just like we talked in our last couple podcasts. It's so important to let things go that no longer fill your cup. And so Sabrina, we wish her the best, but she may come on every once in a while as a guest. We don't know, but we'll only have myself and Laura moving forward. And hopefully we'll find someone else to come in and help us on some of these episodes. But today we are interviewing another amazing spouse, another resource. I think this one's so important. I've come across so many spouses that can benefit from this information, as well as us who are not going through the same trenches that they are, that we can have this knowledge to help our fellow spouses navigate a very difficult transition for some of our fellow spouses. So today we're talking about just belonging to the military community from across the border. So we have our foreign-born military spouses coming into our community and how they're navigating that cycle. So today we have Lydia on the podcast with us, and she is an immigrant, and I'll let her tell us where she's from here in a moment, an attorney, a military spouse, and the founder of FMSN. Welcome to the show, Lydia.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where did you come from, how you met your husband, and what kind of led you to starting FMSN?
Wow. Those are questions that I can answer in 2 days. Are you ready?
I know.
I'm going to make it, excuse me, I'm going to make it as short as possible. So my name is Lydia Owiti-Otienoh. I am originally from Kenya. So I came into the US after marrying my husband. So that was why I had to move, because this is where he lived. And fortunately or not, I don't know whether it is, whichever way it is, he was stationed in Afghanistan at the time. So my coming here was just him coming back from there for his R&R. We all understand that, 2 weeks, and then he was off again. So I had to stay here for a year plus.
So wait, you were here solo without your service member when you first get here? Oh my goodness. My heart for you. That's insane. Okay.
I know, yeah. So that was my introduction, very rough introduction into America.
Mm-hmm.
Very new place, very new thing. At that time, I had traveled around the world, but still, there was no place I was calling another home like America. So that was work. I would go 2 months, 3 months. I would go 2 weeks, go back to my home base. But now this was me having a different home base, and then this home base had nobody except me, and it had different things, and I had to learn quite a lot. Yeah. So I remember it was an exciting time. I was eventually coming to join my husband because we got married and we didn't even have time. Same thing. We got married in Kenya. He had to rush back to Afghanistan and we had to wait for the paperwork. And paperwork was ready. He came to America, 2 weeks, gone again. So our marriage, the first 2 years was spent apart.
Yes.
we didn't have that connection of, oh, newly married. It was like we started it after the 2 years had gone, and now he was back into the States. And then the moving also with the military started. So that was my introduction to military life. And I did not even know that I had an identity called military spouse.
Oh no.
I will tell you about that later. All I know is at some point after giving birth to my first child, I'm told, okay, we are moving. And I'm like, moving where?
Where was the first place you guys went to? Where was that first home in the US? What location?
I was in Delaware, and I
Oh,
wouldn't
oh
say in
goodness.
his station because his station was Kuwait. So really, there was no station in
Okay.
Delaware. It was just me living in an apartment without me knowing anything to do with the military.
Okay, so
When
you didn't even go to a military community when you first came in. So you were just in Delaware. So that had to have been difficult because you weren't even near other people who could give you the information and the knowledge about military life. Okay.
No,
So good.
and I didn't even know there was anything called military life. That
Mhm.
came later after I think 12 years. That's another tragedy. But anyway,
Oh goodness.
I didn't know anything called military. I didn't know that there was a thing,
Mm.
the military. I just knew that it affected my life in profound ways and that his job took precedence over so many things. It affected everything around us. But for me, it was a job. It was never
Mhm.
like this is military life because I think for most of us around the world, the military and civilian life are so divorced from each other. There's never, okay, people appreciate military or anything that the military does because I don't know. I couldn't tell you the branches of the military Kenya has. If I can maybe name Navy or probably Army, that's all
Mhm.
I might know. But in America, it's different. The structure is
Mhm.
different. America has developed militarily in different ways, and there's a lot of support around military.
There's a lot of pride when it comes to that. So you
Yes.
have a lot of people who are like behind the service members,
Mhm.
whatever branch it is. So I could see that. Having lived in other countries, I could see, like, I remember living in Europe and never really hearing anybody refer to any armed forces over there about anything. So I could see how that was a very drastic change
Yeah.
living in a different country.
Yeah, I remember sometime we went at the mall and he had come from work, so we went to get a meal. And there was this, I think, 5 or 6 year old girl who just came and told him, "Thank you for your service." And I was left like, what is this still talking
What does
about?"
this mean?
I know. So I think looking back, that's when I was like, oh, so the military is really ingrained in the American life. People really understand. Yeah, and that was later. Yeah, so my experience became something that shocked my system. My experience became acclimating into American life and also acclimating into an unknown military life at the same time, struggling to understand both, struggling to find my place in either without understanding how things went. And then for the first 2 years, which I think were one of the reasons why things became a little unstable, I was alone and so didn't understand much myself. And that led to me, after 3 years, getting severely depressed because I was trying to regain my balance. I had come from a very busy, budding life career wise. I was a lawyer. I had practiced for 5, 6 years. I was already at the peak. Oh, I don't know whether to say peak, but I had already gotten used to a lifestyle. I
Mhm.
was busy. And then suddenly everything just disappeared.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to introduce myself. I learned that my law degree was not recognized. I learned that I had to go back to school if I wanted to do that. And then I also quickly learned that even if I went back to school in Delaware, which I wanted to do, if I moved to another place, which my husband told me, oh, by the way, there are different regulations for each state. And I'm like, what do you mean? So even if I go back to school, this is not going to be the same. Yeah, you might have to take the bar exam in every state. And I'm like crushed. So I decided to take a second master's degree in project management just to acclimate to this life that was now mobile. And so I was
Mhm.
like, okay, what can I do? And I know I'm good with coordination and things like that. So project management felt like a natural fit, but it wasn't what I wanted. It was like out of necessity. So I
Yes.
still felt like I wasn't aligned with my purpose in life. It felt like I was doing something just to survive. And then I also had my kids in quick succession, the first two children. And this having no social support, no moral support. My husband had long hours working. it felt so destabilizing. And I think things just piled on and piled on, that at the end of 3 years, I couldn't handle it anymore. And I saw myself going down this path that I didn't want to be here anymore. It's not a good place to be in. And so one day I just woke up and said, I'm going back home. This
Yeah.
isn't working anymore.
That's a pretty common thread for military spouses in general, feeling that like heavy burden of all the things stacking up, but then having that added restraint of not being close to your family, being halfway around the world, is even more of that. Okay, why am I here? Like, why am I putting myself through all these emotions, all of these trials? Yeah. And I know from my perspective, I have talked to several spouses who have gone through the process of coming over here and then losing that identity. Same thing, like was working at the peak in their career and all the things, and then they PCS to the stateside, and they're just like, what am I supposed to do? What am
Yeah.
like this I'm out of my element. I don't know who or what can help me. And I feel like that's just military spouses in general. I feel like we have a lot of spouses who transition from states to states who are like, why am I even trying to build my career? Because this is something that it's just so much work. I know I felt that way as a military spouse. I can only imagine the added stressors of coming into a foreign country and
Yeah.
all the different things. Just
Yeah.
goodness.
So it felt like there was a transition, but I didn't notice there was a transition, which was going on internally. Outside, I had already moved locations, I had already married, my country was different, things were different. But internally, I don't think I had already acclimated or accepted, because that process of accepting came with added on things. So I was trying to figure out my immigration and stay put. However, the military does not, is not, you can't stay put, right? Moving, people, we are packing. I couldn't even pack. My neighbors were helping me. I remember that first PCS move. We are moving. Everyone else is worried about boxes, housing, probably imagining. I'm not sure about what's going on with the military. But I'm quietly wondering, is my paperwork going to follow me? What's going to happen with that? Am I still going to be legal in that other state? The things that you shouldn't be worrying about. Is a work permit different here from there? So there's an added on complexity that you're trying to understand, but you still don't know, and nobody is explaining that to you. And so the culture shock, the system shock, the immigration issues, the jobs that I couldn't get, I was like, man, I've been working since I don't know when. How can I not even get a job? What is going on here? And the isolation and having to transform myself into someone I did not recognize. After going back to Kenya, spending 3 years and trying to rebuild myself, my identity, going back to my what I knew, what felt familiar, something I realized something when I was going through therapy to deal with that depression, that I did not just move locations, states, countries. I had moved languages, I had moved cultures, I had moved laws, I had moved identities, that I had not reconciled with that. I had not mourned the loss of certain things. I had not mourned and really sat with the fact that, okay, things are different. That loneliness, that chaos, that sense of hopelessness, that is what eventually became FMSN.
Okay.
I decided that there was no need for anyone to go through the same thing. There
Absolutely.
was no way someone else was going to do all that and go through all that stress alone.
Yes.
And that gave birth to FMSN.
I love that. So let's backtrack just a tiny bit. One thing that I know that I've had a lot of spouses who are foreign born spouses who have explained this to the immigration process. What did that look like for you? Was this an easy process for you? Was this, other than like the concern of will my paperwork follow, especially since you were not at you weren't at a specific duty station, you were in Delaware. How did that look for you at that time? Because your husband left. So did you have to navigate all that by yourself? Were you having to go through all of that and is your husband American born or is he also a foreign born?
He's also foreign born.
Okay.
Yeah, he's also Kenyan like me. So I remember he did almost all the paperwork.
Well, that's nice.
And then some of the paperwork that I needed to fill while I was in the country and didn't know how to do, it felt like I now became a toddler again.
Yeah.
I had so many legal things. I do stuff. How can I not understand this simple thing? It almost felt like I had been replaced by someone that I couldn't recognize. Recognize the paperwork for me. I don't remember it being too complicated. All I
Okay.
remember it is giving me anxieties
Yes.
of
Yes. I think that was a common thread. Just, oh my gosh, this is just too much for me to
yeah.
handle at the moment in time.
Yeah, so I moved in with already an immigrant visa. So I was already a green card holder by the time I came in, and I understood what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
However, at those difficult moments when I just had my child and we were just moving and I really wanted to go back home, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back and just at least let me take care of this baby for a little bit as I settled. Then I realized, oh, the green card has restrictions.
Yes.
You can't leave or you can't go somewhere for an extended, I don't know, period of time. And remember, we are on a single income for a
Mm-hmm.
while. It's been almost 2 years by that time. And so I'm beating myself over. We only have one income. And then here am I complaining about things that I want to go see my mom, that this, and there's also this green card that if I stay out too long, if I come back, there will be a problem. So I'm like having this emotional things going on in my head that I really can't put on paper. That sometimes I even feel guilty for telling my husband that this is how exactly I feel. If it were not for this green card, I would not be here.
Yeah.
You have to wait until you get, I don't know, remove conditions from your green card. Languages now I started to understand later. That oh, you after 2 years is removal of conditions, and then after this, and then after, and then I was like, oh,
It's
okay,
it
am
sounds
I in
stressful.
prison here? You know, I feel like my world was shrinking by the day,
Yes.
and my agency was in someone else's hand. Some system was controlling where I went, how I went, whether I worked or I didn't work. At that point, I even wanted to work for the government because I had done international development. I
Mhm.
had done, oh, I can't work for the government because I'm not citizen yet. So there were like one thing after another that I understood slowly that shrunk my world in my head and brought in this many unresolved issues of, okay, you're in a new place, you need to adapt like this. So I don't think I was prepared. I don't
Yeah.
think I was prepared for that psychological side of things at all.
Yeah, and you touched a little bit on this when you were telling us a little about yourself. What on top of the all the different questions that are going through your head about what if this, what if that, why can't I do this? Were there any other invisible stressors that were on you? So what does that visible look like in real life? So what else was there that kind of, because you just stated like, you had I would just want to go home to see my mom, and I think so many spouses or family members can resonate with that. But for me, I'm like, okay, my mom's only 8 hours right now. It's an easy thing for me to jump in my car and drive home. I mean, she's actually here visiting right now. So I'm like, I was very fortunate to have that. I remember when we lived in Alaska, that was not the case, but like coming from a different country, it isn't that easy. So not only are you having that like separation of no support, no family, and then what if of all these other things? Am I going to mess something up? Am I going to be not allowed back in country, or all those different things? Was there anything else that kind of added on to that kind of led you? And then this can go in our next question, where as well as when did you realize that there was a gap for support? So what was that deciding factor? And I think you touched a little bit on it. That was like, no, I need to do something about this because this is so important and no one should feel this way again.
Yes, I remember walking one day. This I was still alone at the time. My husband was on. I'm walking, and culturally, we say hi anytime. You're
Yes.
smiling, you're talking to people all the time.
It's so crazy how different parts of the United States is very different on this, because I
Yes.
grew up that way too. I grew up waving, saying hi, how was your day? Just being very cordial and courteous. And I don't know if that's just because I grew up military, so I have lived in different
Yeah.
countries and things like that. But yeah, some places, especially up north, I feel like it's very up north, like you don't say hi to everybody that you walk past. So that was just, oh goodness. Couldn't
Yeah,
even
so
imagine. I couldn't be like, hello, how was your day? And then be like met with a grumpy face. No.
I know. So I'm like, hi, good morning. And it almost felt like I committed a crime. They looked
Oh,
away so
I would have
fast.
given you a hug if you had said hi to me. So just know that
I know
there.
that makes me want to cry sometimes because I'm like, that one experience made me retract so much
Yeah.
after that because it felt like it's not safe to say hello to people. It's not okay to like just be
Be you.
you.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to acclimate, I want to integrate, I want to do the things, but I still feel like there's a lot that I don't know, or I'm going to offend someone, or I'm going to do something wrong, or there's a lot of calculations in my brain culturally. And I'm wondering, did I make a mistake? Is it like, is just this place? Is it a personality thing? Or is it like a societal thing? Is it everybody behaves like this? Is it so every move I'm calculating it so much. I lived in my head so much. And I think that is what led to the depression. Every time I'm calculating things that I'm probably not supposed to. I'm going into the store. This is funny. My husband gave me a credit card and debit card, and I think the credit card had a blue color, had a nice color that I loved. So that's what I kept using. And I didn't see credit, debit, whatever it was, and I didn't even understand because in my country we are very cash based. I never once went into a store and used like a card. It was always I'm doing an online transaction or I'm
Mhm.
paying by cash. So credit cards are not, we are not used to credit cards. I'm paying using the credit card, and then I go back home after spending this credit card on so many things, by the way. And he goes, "Hey, you're ruining our credit." And I'm like, "Say that again." You're ruining our credit. What is that? Oh,
Yeah.
there's a credit score, there's a this. You are using the wrong card. I'm like, okay, what card is that? Yeah, you need to use a debit card. I'm like, debit, which one is debit? So I'm trying to look at them, and none of them is written debit or credit. I'm like, okay, so which
Mhm.
one is debit or which one is credit? Oh, this color is, okay, now I know. I didn't mean to. So those are some of the things that they were psychologically affecting me
See, I didn't even think that would be something to think about because, like,
because
the
you're
difference
used to
between a
it.
debit or a credit card and, like, what is credit and all that kind of stuff. Because are we the only
You're
country that
used
does
to
credit?
it.
Are we
You
the
were
only country that
used to it.
Goodness. See, again, like I'm learning something new about our military community every single day. I already knew our foreign spouses, those coming in, the process was already much more difficult just because I have had several friends who have gone through that process and we've had those conversations. But like that wasn't something we ever talked about. And I'm like, wow, yeah, that's like another thing you have to think about. And that's crazy. That's another thing that you're tacking on going, remember what card to use, don't use this
Yes.
one. Like, goodness.
Yeah. So
Goodness, goodness.
every time before I'm even going to buy something, I'm calculating. So which one is okay? Did she say blue or red? And then I'm ripping. I'm like I'm destroying something that I don't know how to repair. Oh, it will take I don't know how many years to repair credit. So I'm in my. I feel like a toddler
Yeah.
in so many senses. I feel useless. I feel like I don't even know how to function like an adult. And then there's the driving. We drive on the left hand side, Americans drive on the right hand side. Everything, the way the steering, whatever you use, wipers, everything is so different. And he's here only 2 weeks. So, how many times do you think we go out to drive so I can actually be independent? Few times. And so, one time I actually almost caused an accident. And that gave me, I think, PTSD.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't even want to touch the car for as long as he was not in the country. And guess how long he was not in the country? A whole year. So
Yeah.
I was like, I am being grounded. Like, I know how to drive, but I can't. I know how to shop, but I know how to fill in forms. But this, I know how to make friends, but my life became my world became smaller and
Mhm.
smaller. I felt more useless and more useless and more useless. That by the time my husband came back, I think my brain had already
Yeah.
I was already in a place where I was not well. Everything seemed well externally.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
Internally,
I think you said earlier that you didn't really identify as like a military spouse at that point.
mhm.
And I think military spouses in general look well on the outside. Like it looks like they're holding it together, that they're making it through difficult transitions, deployments, PCS moves, all the different things. But deep down, we have that emotional baggage that's weighing us down, that's invisible, that invisible load. You guys hear me talk about that all the time on the podcast. We're discussing it now, that we don't know all the different factors that are coming into plays on top of that specific spouse. And we're learning that each branch may have different things that are weighing us down. Our foreign born spouses have things that are weighing them down or that are different from what I've experienced as a military spouse. I have a very different viewpoint of a lot of things and a lot of different things because I grew up military. So I came into being a military spouse knowing what those struggles could be, what those burdens can be. But does that mean myself or anyone else doesn't have that invisible load? It doesn't. And so that's why, like when you said earlier, I went to therapy and I was like, yes, girl. That is so important, that if you feel trapped or like your world is getting smaller and smaller and you don't feel like you have an outlet or communication, utilize the resources that are available. I saw that there was a need. Like you saw that there was a need for something more. And myself, we saw that there was a need for something more, which is where we created Deployed Love. We created the podcast
Yeah.
because this information and the community and the resources are an absolute essential need for our spouses. So now that so you went through this, your world was getting smaller. How did
How did
FMS?
FMSN come on?
Yes. Why don't you tell us why you founded it? What does FMSN stand for? I'll let you explain like what that stands for. I think it's probably self-explanatory for everyone, but we'll go into it and tell us a little bit about what it is, what you do, and who. Obviously, we're talking about foreign-born spouses, so we know that this is helping foreign-born military individuals in some capacity. But let's learn a little bit more about this.
Yeah. So FMSN stands for Foreign Born Military Spouse Network. The B is silent there because foreign born, that's one word.
Yeah.
And it's a network, supposed to be a community. It's supposed to be a place where we are definitely coming together to offer each other the support that is needed, right? So we want to make sure that nobody is feeling alone, because loneliness, that is, or isolation, that is where the problem starts.
Mm-hmm.
So at the Foreign Born Military Spouse Network, we want to empower foreign born spouses to overcome, first of all, legal, economic, linguistic, and social barriers so that they can become self sufficient and fully integrated and contributing also to both the military and American communities. So I looked at it and saw, first of all, we got to achieve this by building a vibrant and supportive community.
Yes.
Once there's a community and
it all starts with the community. It all starts community level.
Yes. Oh, they see me. They see the whole me, not just the military spouse me. They see me and all these things that I come attached with that are hanging on to me, and I'm carrying the mental load, as you say, invisible things. And so after you are in a community, then we deliver some very comprehensive social, legal, and educational programming that foster this cross-cultural understanding and the networking and other things. So community and then education. So those are the two main things that we do, and this comes in different ways. So if I go back how it started, remember I went back to Kenya for 3 years to regain my balance. Coming back, the same issue started. I'm not getting employment despite being very highly educated, and I feel like there's something going on there and I don't know what it is. So one time my husband is about to retire. He comes back home with a packet of things. And I'm so curious. I'm like, wow, what kind of retirement is this? Where someone just gives you a whole list, a whole load of documents to look through. And my curiosity is just because at this point, we came back in 2018, it's 2020, and I'm already feeling the frustration. I'm thinking, did I make a mistake coming back? Should I just go back to Kenya and just live out my life and forget about America? And so I'm digging through these things. I want to know what are these documents about? And somewhere in one of those I see resources for military spouse. Remember, he started his military service in 2008, and that's when we met. We got married in 2011. I moved to the United States in 2012. This is 2020. This is
Mhm.
when I hear the word military spouse. This is when I see the word military spouse. And I'm like, okay, spouse, me, sorry, him. Okay, resources. What are these? Google. Military spouse resources in America. That's when my whole world opens. That is when my whole world
The fact, it breaks my heart that the fact that it took that long for you to realize that there were resources for military spouses, that hurts my heart because there are so many resources out there, not
opens.
even just for military spouses, but for the military community that are just underutilized and not known about, which is again why we have our podcast, so we can interview like Lydia and all these resources so that we can share this in a space, because they're there because someone saw a need. Someone said, hey, this is something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Even if it's similar, there's so many programs out there that do something similar to what Deployed Love does. We all do it in a little bit of a different capacity, which is okay, because I'm a firm believer that you can never have too many resources tucked in your
Mhm.
back pocket for a rainy day, or to utilize. If you utilize three resources that do the same thing, you're just getting all the support that you can get. But that hurts my heart. That took so long for you to say, what? There's resources for me?
I
Oh
know.
my
I
goodness.
know. It was so heartbreaking, but at that point, I had not even known the depth and the
Mhm.
wealth of resources. I just needed to know what this word military spouse
So I have
meant.
one quick question before you move on to that. When your husband came back from deployment and you PCS that next time, where did you guys go? So when you moved from Delaware, where did you guys go?
New Jersey.
Okay. So were you at installations?
Nope.
No, so you were never at an actual installation. So was he like
He
interesting?
would commute. So I think
Okay.
that would explain why.
Why?
And
Maybe. Okay.
that explains why also most foreign born spouses, or some most spouses,
Mhm.
would not know. Because if you're from a different culture, number one, the military is not something you know. So how would you imagine that there are any resources
Mhm.
for military spouses? Your brain does not function that way. You're just living your life as usual. He's going to work just like you're doing your other things. So I didn't think about there being anything special for military spouse, like not military, like for a spouse of anyone in the
Yeah.
military. So I'm living my life just like many foreign born spouses are living their lives. If you don't know, over 65% of foreign born spouses are isolated somewhere
Yes.
because they don't know what's going on. It's not an expectation. They're coming with their regular thinking of, I'm just in America like anybody else.
Mhm.
So that is where I noticed the disconnect is. If I knew, because I'm a very proactive person, I'm someone who prides myself in building community, making friends.
Mhm.
If there was something for me to find out, I would have found out. Let's say if we lived on base, for example,
Yeah.
I would have known a few things. But yeah, so there's a disconnect, and we have to really work extra hard to reach foreign born spouses
Mhm.
because they are living in a world that they know. That's what they know.
Well,
They
and
just living in
especially
the
if they're
country.
coming in, the two other military spouse born spouses that I know had very similar stories. They moved here and their service member deployed shortly afterwards, and so they were left to navigate this lifestyle, not knowing all the different things. Like, fortunately, both of them found Deployed Love events and saw on a local community page that they happened to be in, and we're like, okay, let me go see what this is and see if this is something. One of them was actually a neighbor to one of our families, and that's how she connected with us. And I was like, she was telling us her story of like how she was having to navigate her whole process. Like, she'd just gotten there, so she was having to drive 2 hours this was at Fort Bragg, so she's having to drive to Raleigh for appointments to get her green card and all these
Mhm.
other things. And she had just gotten in country, so she's just, I don't even. feel comfortable driving here. Like I know how to drive, but it is very different. As someone who's driven over Europe, it is a very different driving experience, everybody. There's different, the signages alone could
Yeah.
be like very different. I can see where that disconnect is. If they were put into a position, and again, coming and going, oh, this is just a normal job. And thankfully, we have the community set up if you do find it. If you don't know where to look, if you're not, I feel like every country is a little different on how they use social media and stuff too. So you don't maybe think to go and look and type in on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, like military spouse community or military spouse resources to see what would pop up, because it isn't, I feel like even for young military spouses, like coming in fresh out of high school, probably don't know that, which is goodness gracious. But I think it would be so much harder not being near an installation, because I think at least nowadays resources are thrown left and right, not necessarily left and right, but you at least will know about USO or maybe MWR on installation if you're near an installation, especially if you live on an installation or if you go on to an installation, you will see signs and things pop up around installation for those specific things. But all the different other things, I couldn't even imagine what you went through in feeling isolated, because
Yeah.
I feel every spouse can feel that way. Like I know I could be in a full room of people and still feel completely alone. And I think a lot of military spouses can resonate with that because
Yes.
of that invisible load. But adding in that component of, I'm in a new country, I don't speak the language, or I barely speak the language, or for my European friends, especially my German friends who are like, I don't speak it, but I'm like, you speak it wonderfully. You're doing wonderful. Like really all the different things that come into place. It can be terrifying. It can be scary. I remember moving to Europe and just being like, oh, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And we're so used to things from our home country, and when you go to a different country, you're, like you said, you're learning cultures. And then think about it, like you went from, if you're a spouse who, okay, you're first are getting stationed in the South, and then your next PCS move, you go to North. It's a culture shock. It's a culture change. East Coast to West Coast
Yeah.
is a culture shock. We talk about that all the time. So I feel like just navigating that over and over again, you're going to be like, yeah, I should just go home. I'm just going to go back where I know what it is. So you created this program, you focus on community, which I think, again, is so unbelievably important for military spouses to have in general. I preach that, like, you have to have a community to navigate this lifestyle with your service member deploying and constant change and all the different things. And then you talked about the educational portion, which I think is wonderful, because I think that was the spouses that I've known who've gone through this transition was, I just don't know if there's a resource out there that can help me with this or navigate this. I had one spouse who couldn't even get life-saving medication. She couldn't even get an appointment with her doctor until she had her VA, like the appointments for her visa. And they were months out. She was pregnant. And so we ended up having to try to help navigate and figure out. She would end up getting an appointment early. I was like, I'll drive you. I'll drive you to Raleigh if I need to, so you can make this appointment if your husband can't take you, because he was in the process of deploying. I was like, just say the word. But she only had that connection because she was able to connect with her neighbor. I don't think what would that happen to someone who didn't have that connection of, how can I get to this appointment, or how can I get to this thing if I don't have that? So you have the community. On here it says you guys are representing 100+ countries. How does that look? So is that like you just have educational information for 100+ countries, or what does that look like for your program?
No, it just means that our spouses come from over 100 countries.
Okay. And that's phenomenal. That means you're touching so many different lives, but so many countries are coming. I love our military community. I think it's wonderful that we have this melting pot. And I think that's why military kids grow up with knowing so many things about different cultures, because they have that opportunity to do that and I remember growing up and going to different friends' house and experiencing different holidays with them and all the different things that they brought from their home countries. And it's really wonderful. What makes FMSN a little different from other support spaces? So what makes this one slightly different from Deployed Love or Blue Star Families or something like that, where we're like, they have community aspects, but what makes it slightly different?
I believe very much the relatability of the experience. That is what makes sets us apart. Foreign military spouses face almost the same things, but for foreign born spouses, there's an added layer of things. So, for example, all spouses do PCS moves, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
for foreign born spouse, there's PCS and there's immigration paperwork resets, and there's you're thinking about whether you're filing that thing or you're changing this or you're changing that. Because I realized sometimes we have issues with immigration now that we are supporting them directly that are a direct result of PCS moves,
Mm-hmm.
because you move from America, then you go to Korea. And now you've changed addresses.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if USCIS was supposed to send you something, maybe go take your fingerprints. Then they've sent it to your old address. You have missed that appointment. You have missed. So the issue starts to now go downward after that, just because of that PCS move. All spouses have career disruption. For a foreign born spouse, there's credential evaluation. For example, I'm not just a lawyer anymore. I have to figure out, am I a lawyer in America? And if I leave maybe Delaware, if I went to school in Delaware again to do my law, if I move to New Jersey, is that going to be the same thing? So
Mm-hmm.
there is that transferability of your credentials, whether or not. Work authorization. Am I working for 16 months, 18 months? Is that restricted? Is that not? There's a lot more. All spouses face loneliness. Now, add on language, add on culture, add on no family nearby, add on the fear of your systems. If you have a community that understands these added burdens, it's like your home. We actually call it home away from home.
Oh, I
Because,
love that.
yeah, we want you to feel like Lydia understands, she went through that. Or even if she didn't, she would imagine, because she is in that same position. So people are very willing to help you. In our community, it was very, before this immigration issue started, and there's now anxiety where everybody's posting anonymously. People would even ask, where do I get this kind of yogurt? I'm from Italy and I want this. Oh,
Yes.
I'm from Germany and I want this bread. I'm from Africa and I want this kind of chicken.
Oh, I
Those are
love that.
things
Like you
that,
can have all that information in one spot. That's fantastic.
yeah, so it's a place where everyone is just for everyone. You will post about you feeling homesick, and someone from your country can say, yes, I feel that way too. Or there's this language barrier between me and my maybe mother in law or father in law. In my culture, this is how we do it. So you find people that can relate with you and say, oh, yeah, me too. So it removes that barrier of feeling like nobody really knows you, and that, yeah, that goes
Well, and
in.
it can feel so, it can release so much tension when you have someone says, "Hey, I see you.
Yeah.
I understand what you're going through.
Mhm.
You're not alone." It can really go from taking you like down here to bringing you back up to like mid-level or even higher. It does wonders for someone's soul. And so I'm so happy to hear that there's a community that can come together and provide that. Again, we preach that. Like it's so important.
Yeah.
So you talked about all these different things, and I don't know if this is going to be one of your answers, but what is one of the most urgent needs that you see right now for foreign-born spouses, like in the community right now? What is the biggest struggle that you are facing right now?
I would say two. First is the uncertainty around immigration, which has
Mm-hmm.
caused a lot of turmoil in the community. You can cut the tension with a knife. You can tell everyone is just on the edge, and there's something going on that some people are afraid to even use their real identities to even say something. So we are offering different ways to cope, but still we are in it. Two is the isolation, which we are trying so much. I can imagine if this is the tension inside, what of somebody who is out and does not even know that there exists a place for them? I just try to put myself in the situation and just empathize absolutely. And I wonder, for real, if I were to be honest, I didn't set out to start a nonprofit. That was the furthest thing from my mind.
It's
I
usually the case.
Yes, I just wanted one room where someone understood what it meant for the things that we now do: community and belonging, immigration guidance and referrals, career support and credential navigation, crisis intervention, because we end up in a lot of crisis, being very vulnerable to a lot of things. Financially, it will take time for someone to stabilize. So there are very many ways that we are vulnerable even to domestic violence. So that crisis intervention is a response to just in case, know there's some people here. Cultural connection events, advocacy for policy change. For example, my CAA covers, what is it called? Certifications up to $4,000. But most of us are very highly educated already. So you don't need another certification. For example, myself, I would have used that $4,000 to evaluate credentials if I knew about it then. But unfortunately, credential evaluation is not part of my CAA. So it means a whole almost 15 to 20% of the military spouse population is left outside because their needs are not well taken care of inside whatever policy that's applicable to support. So that's one of the things we are working on. So if we have already connected thousands, we are almost 6,000 in our community.
I love that.
Yeah, and we are seeing the demand growing every day. We are seeing real stories every day of spouses finding jobs, their status changing because they've been supported to know what to do immigration. They feel safe because some we've had to deal with emergencies like we are going through a divorce or there's domestic violence. I don't know where to go. I don't have a sister to call. You have to be evacuated there, taken to a safe place. The police have to be involved. And if you are alone, who would be doing this for
Yes.
you? And that sense of belonging as well. Oh, these are my people. So if you see some of the feedback that we get, I'm just like, man, this was so necessary because community is not luxury. Community is infrastructure for someone.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes what saves someone is not a program. It is just someone saying, "Me too."
That's true. It's
You know?
true. It's having one person. One person. Yesterday, I attended an event, and that was what I told every single spouse in that room was if each one of you went out into the world today and saw another spouse struggling, whether it was you were at the park with your kids and this mom was just running ragged and chasing her kids around the park and she just looks like she needs a friendly face, go say hi. Say, hey, my name is such and such. I wanted to introduce myself. You look like you could use an extra hand. Would you mind? Do you need help? Or how can I help you today? Whatever the case may be. And that you do that to one person, and then that person does this to another person, and that person does it to another person. You've created this chain link of community that will continue to grow because the amount of times I've heard just spouses in general say, I didn't have a community. I don't feel like I'm supported. And it works both ways. I feel community is a relationship. You have to both put in effort to be a part of a community. Like you can't just show up and be there. You have to
Yeah.
also put back into the community to help it grow. Growing the community is so important. And you sound like you've done a phenomenal job in that, reaching over 6,000 people. Is this just a virtual community or do you guys do like local meetups? Like how does that community look for you guys?
So realizing that belonging honestly is readiness because how it affected me and my husband because my husband had to leave when I was going to Kenya for 3 years. He had to come with me. That there meant either he was leaving the military or he was doing something else. So he went on reserves.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was not satisfied and he is not therefore not okay with his service, it means when a family is steady, a service member can focus on the mission.
Yes.
If they're not, then you have caused instability. So I felt, oh, I have to make people feel like they belong. And where would they belong? A virtual space is wonderful. We do our many events every week. We have a webinar on something because we have to do this education constantly. But where does really belonging happens? It is where people are. So we have chapters across the country. Our biggest is DMV, where people over 40% of our spouses are. So meeting up and just knowing each other. A hug. A hug from someone.
You so much. A hug can just melt everything away, y'all. Like the amount of hugs I got yesterday, I was like, oh, I needed this. Like I didn't think I needed this, but it was so nice to just have some hugs yesterday. And
Yeah.
it literally can change
A
everything.
hug can change everything. Just that human touch, human feel. So we don't want it to stay like, oh, we are part of FMSN. No. I am in Virginia and I have spouses I can call on in Virginia. In fact, right now we're working on a WhatsApp infrastructure. It has been something people are demanding because they say, oh, if I have to wait to go and post my request on the Virginia chapter page, by the time another spouse sees it. So if we have a group, a community on WhatsApp that can also be segmented into locations, then I can quickly post something there. Someone can quickly read it, say, hey, I'm going for a doctor's appointment. I need someone to just accompany me or take care of my child for about 2 hours. That is real time being there as a community. And that is what belonging is. That is what we want. We don't want to live like, oh yeah, we are part of that big place where we go and ask things and that, but we never really connect. So I'm working very hard to make sure we have stable chapters across the country. So we are all over, overseas, in here as well. And I'm seeing slowly as spouses getting to understand what it means to actually be in community with each other. We might not come from the same country, we might not come from same cultures, but just that shared mission. One of the things we talk about a lot is we come from different roots, but we have the same mission. The mission is a military mission, and we are here to make sure that no spouse is left behind. Me not leaving any spouse behind is me holding the hand of another spouse like me and telling them, me too, can I hug you? Me making sure no spouse is left behind is making sure that the infrastructure that they need in terms of support is there for them. A chapter lead, a chapter director, someone that can build things where they are. So when they move from Virginia and they are going to North Carolina, they still find the same community of people and someone who can quickly tell them, hey, here's a store to get the Indian stuff, here's a store to get the Chinese stuff, here's a store. And then that makes your acclimation or transition into that place a little much easier than you thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? So you can even post, I'm about to transition to maybe PCS. So who is there that you're quickly referred to the new location chapter Facebook? You can join the people in that location. Yeah, so we are trying to make it as personal as possible, because that is where the change is.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's absolutely wonderful. And having that infrastructure set up to be able to say, hey, I'm going here. Who's there that I can connect with is so important. I think also for anyone who's listening, I think it's important to note again to extend that hand of friendship. Your neighbor moves in. I miss the days when you have a new neighbor, you walk over and say, hi, my name is Ashley. I'm your next door neighbor. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to come over and ask for a cup of sugar or whatever it may be. I know that it's a very different culture that we're in, a very different society that we're in right now. That's not the case, but extending that friendship, just saying hi, welcome to the neighborhood, welcome to Fort Benning, welcome to Fort Bragg, or wherever it is that you're at, and saying there's a community here. If you are looking for anything, please don't hesitate to ask, because we're like, I'm here. Like just saying, I'm here. I see you. I'm here. Let me know if you need me. And I think that's so important. And then having all these different programs across the country, because it is a need and it's there for spouses to utilize the resources that are out there. I feel like I say this all the time, you guys. We're here for a reason. If you're a foreign-born spouse, utilize the network. If you're just a military spouse and foreign-born or not, and you want to just find a community that's meeting weekly, see if there's a Deployed Love chapter at your location, or see if there's a Blue Star, or there's so many programs out there who know community is foundational. It is so important to navigate this lifestyle because of all of the transitions. We get through transition fatigue and all these different things, that it's so important that you have this. Lydia, what would be, if you could give a piece of advice to a foreign-born spouse that's listening who maybe feels alone or is just hearing about this, what is your piece of advice on how to, one, navigate military life? Obviously, join the network. I feel like that's so important to say. If you're a foreign-born spouse and you have not connected with the network, please do. I think that's phenomenal. I kind of want to just be like, I want to join so I can support these spouses. And then I also want to know where all the fun things are in town, that I can be like, where's the best German food, or where's the best, like all the different things. I think extending that friendship and extending that hand is important. So what, if you could give one piece of advice to, let's do this two-part. What is your advice, your first piece of advice for a foreign-born spouse listening who feels alone? And then what is your piece of advice for a foreign-born spouse who is just coming into this lifestyle, so like just married a service member and is entering this lifestyle, what would that be?
Thanks for that question, but I will not follow your lead. Sorry. I will
That's
tell you
okay.
what I normally do because I feel like it's my duty to best represent and also best support the rest of us who are in this journey, because we are in this journey together. We remember different roots, same mission.
Yes.
Whether you're foreign born, whether you're not, the mission remains
It's the
the same.
same.
First, I like to encourage those of us who are not foreign born to understand something. And we are developing one of our trainings, which will be Foreign Born Spouse 101. So you can understand who these people are, who we are, essentially. One thing I would encourage you to do is please reach out. Just like she said, reach out. And I'm telling you this from the most love. Why? Because a lot of cultures, community is automatic. I don't think I think twice when I'm in my culture about whether I need to reach out to someone new or not. The moment you are next door to me makes you my responsibility culturally. I have to come to you, I have to know your name, I have to know your interests, I have to know your children. It's my responsibility. That's how I'm raised. It's
Yeah.
my responsibility to take care of my neighbor. Everyone is for everyone.
It's
So you,
family.
it's
Your
your
town is
family.
family. Yes.
Okay. So we went to the same school, we were in the same class. You are automatically, you don't even have to explain yourself. You don't have to constantly be texting me, maintaining that. No, you are already part of me. You're already part of my family. You have access to me in all ways that you want. So I would ask, because we come from these cultures where that is the mindset. So I would ask that please reach out to someone, extend that warm hand, because we are not built, okay, we don't grow up thinking I need to tell somebody who I am, I need to ask for this, I need to, you almost have an expectation, and that's what I can come up with, of someone else doing that for you to welcome you, because they say you have the responsibility to welcome a visitor into your space.
Yes.
So if we are coming from you, you're saying, oh, you gotta reach out. And me, I'm like, where is nobody reaching out? So you
Yeah.
almost feel, is there something wrong with me?
Well, and I think it's a very cultural thing too, because I grew up with that. Your neighbor is in your network, like they are in your space or in your community. You go automatically. But I do know, like having lived in different parts of the country and stuff like that, I do know that at least in the U.S., that is definitely not the case across the country, and it's unfortunate because that's why I was like, I wish everybody did that, because I feel like it just seems logical to me. And I guess, and then like for those who are coming into the country where that is just part of the culture, it's just part of who you are at the core of everything, that this is just, I didn't even think about that. That's just something we do. And I'm so thankful, like when we moved in here, our neighbors came across, at least one of our neighbors came, like as soon as we were unpacking, they came over and we were just like, if you need anything, just let me know. And I was like so appreciative of it, because I haven't had that happen in a couple years. And I'm just like, oh, this is so nice that someone took a moment to stop what they were doing to come over and say, hey, I'm your neighbor. You know, if you need anything, don't hesitate. Here's my phone number. Call me if you need anything, all the things. And I was like, oh, thank gosh, like someone that don't know me from Adam, but they just knew that this is my neighbor and this is my part of my, I'm going to look out for you and this is what's going to happen. And that's so important. And I wish more people did it.
It is. So it's just part of raising that awareness that yes, we have different cultures, but you gotta understand what that person comes with before they adjust to, oh, make the adjustment a little bit softer, smoother, so they feel like, okay, this is my place as well. And then I would go into what a foreign born military spouse would need to know or do. Transition is not easy. Transition is brutal sometimes because it means some of the time letting go. And letting go is not easy. Who you were, the identities you knew, yourself, your community, everything that defined you, your labels. I had a problem, even someone asking me, what do you do? Because now I was no longer the lawyer that I was. I'm a lawyer. It had already gone, and I had to figure out what was the next thing. So It's not easy. First, ground yourself. Learn, just acclimate to what the reality is right now. Look around, figure out what is your grounding, right? Learn to trust yourself. And I talk about this from a lot of experience because I second guess myself in many times. Decisions started becoming so heavy, things that I could do in 2 seconds, I felt like now I can't even do. Ask for help. We might come from places that you don't necessarily need to ask because almost your needs are preempted. Someone knows and is coming to you. Please ask for that help. And then find your chosen family. Find that family. If it is FMSN, first of all, where you will now find people who are going through the same thing, and then you will bond with a few who you will take it deeper. Someone calls it the 3 a.m. friend. Someone you can call at any time, someone you feel so close to. And I see it traverses age, it traverses cultures, it traverses some people just connect.
Yes.
Find your chosen family because that will ground you and will give you a sense of hope and will give you a sense of, oh, okay, this is another thing, because that person will probably be very resourceful, very helpful, they will be your person. And then sometimes you need to redefine what success is. What success was in my is not what success is here, and I had to figure out what that is. Now, build your small routines, seek your community, and use resources because you don't have to tough this out.
Yeah.
We are so used to, I know I come from a culture where toughen it up, man. This too shall pass. But sometimes that doesn't work when it
Yeah.
this after that. Use available resources. There are so many resources. If I knew that there was even O2O that I would go and do project management and have my PMP for free, I would not have gone and got myself a $60,000
Yeah.
student loan. I did not know. But
Yep.
now I am so determined that everybody must know everything. In fact, I oversaturate the community with resources because I feel like you need to know to make informed decision and not be left out figuring things out on your own. Please
Yeah.
remember, strength doesn't mean doing it alone. Don't do it alone. And also, just for you, I want to confirm to you, you are not behind. Many times we feel like, oh, I haven't even translated my this, I haven't
Mm.
even learned English, I haven't even evaluated this, I haven't even. Honey, you are not behind.
No.
You are rebuilding. And rebuilding takes time, rebuilding takes strength, rebuilding takes a lot, rebuilding takes community, and we are here for you. Finally, you are not lost. You are definitely not lost. Your road is somewhere and you are becoming it. So on your way to becoming, get your tribe, get the people who will give you strength, and use the resources that are available. And if you're listening to me and thinking, oh my god, this sounds like me, come find us.
Yes.
Okay, come find us. You don't have to explain everything because we already get you.
Yeah.
We already get it. So just come. On Facebook, you'll find us as Foreign Born Military Spouse Network. There will be the page and there will be the group. So the group is the first place I would want you to join. Just come in. You are welcome. That will be your home, away from home. And then we will find a place. If there is a local network for you, a chapter, we will link you up with the chapter lead and you will be on your way to success.
I love that. And that was like beautifully stated on, I feel like that was beautiful advice for any military spouse to follow. It's, you do not have to navigate this lifestyle alone. Finding that tribe, finding your community is so important. I think we stated that so many times today. If we haven't hammered it in yet, guys, find your family, find that chosen family.
Yes.
Your found family can become so much to you, especially if you are in a place where you are not near your family. I cannot wait to share this information and get the podcast out to all of our locations and everything like that. We will put all of this information as well in our show notes like we normally do, everybody. So make sure that you're connecting. If you are not following the page, please follow. If you are not even a foreign-born spouse, I highly encourage everyone to at least follow the page, educate yourself. I'm learning new things. I already have so many more questions just talking to Lydia today about like how I can support foreign-born spouses and understanding the process of everything that they have to go through. It's things like some of us don't think about on a daily basis of, oh, I don't have those things I have to think about. And as a community as a whole, we should be coming together to support every individual person within our unit. And so being equipped with the information and the knowledge and how we can support what baby spouses or new spouses coming into our military family, seasoned spouses, how we can support them, our foreign born spouses, everyone in between will survive and make it through everything if we connect and build and grow together. So please follow if you're not a foreign born spouse. If you know a foreign about, oh my goodness, cannot talk today. Our foreign born spouse, please share that. If you know a foreign born spouse, please share this information, especially if they're not connected to Deploy the Love yet or into the network. That this is a great resource to help spouses feel connected and loved and supported. Thank you so much, Lydia, for joining me today and sharing your story and sharing your amazing resource. I appreciate it so much. Do you have any final questions and concerns that you would like to address before we end the?
No questions. I would just like to just reiterate, find your people for real. And we have a lot of resources, particularly in the network. I first things I did when I realized there was a big gap, I developed a playbook, which is like a step-by-step guide for you coming in. So if you go on our website, you will find that playbook that if you sit down, it can show you the steps every single moment, from immigration to career to finding a job to the cultural assimilation, military culture, American corporate social culture. There's a lot of stuff that I put in there because I felt like someone else needs to know this. I didn't know it, so I'm just pouring it out, pouring everything out in here. That's a great resource. We also have a lot on the website. You will find the programs, you will find how to reach us. So don't sit somewhere feeling alone while there are a lot of amazing things out here just for you. And yeah.
Perfect. Like I said, we'll put all of the things in the show note to connect with Lydia and over on the network. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on the Ruck Up Buttercup podcast. We will see you guys next time. And like we say, Ruck Up Buttercup.